What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 149, and we start today's episode off with a transfer offer coming in for Tony Vilhena at our club. Not sure if that's the right pronunciation, but the 24-year-old central midfielder from the Netherlands. He's currently valued at £4.8 million, but here at PSG he's not really getting used. He is 76 overall, and again, only 24 years old, so clearly a lot of room to grow, but as he's not really getting used that much, Villarreal said they're only going to pay us £3.9 million. I asked for £4.8 million, which is his valuation. There was a bit of back and forth, and eventually, as you'll see, after I asked for £4.7 million, after this game with Nancy in the Coupe de Nationale, they do go ahead and accept that counter offer. So Vilhena looks like he's on his way out of the club, and I know you're going to sit there and tell me what his potential is and say, my God, seriously, you're selling him for way under what he could, possibly be worth in 3 or 4 seasons' time. But the point is, we're not going to be here at PSG in 3 or 4 seasons' time, or at least we certainly don't think so. So there's not really much point keeping him if he's not going to play too many games. His development is going to get stunted, and we may as well just cash in on him now and look to sign someone else with the money. So yeah, there you go. And I've mentioned it a couple of times now, but as I have said before, since leaving West Bromwich Albion, coming to PSG, this is a stint here at PSG. This isn't going to be a long-term thing. We won't be here for 5 or 6 seasons. We'll only be here for a couple seasons max. So always keep that in mind when I'm looking at doing transfers, and when I'm moving to different clubs. As I always say, keep in mind we're not going to be there forever, even if you don't really want me to go to that club at the present time. But still, we do take on Nancy for the first and only game of today's episode here in the Coupe de Nationale, and as you can see, we had the first chance, Higuain hitting the post, and then Eden Hazard getting taken down in the 24th minute and winning us a penalty. And the Nancy defender there was really frustrated about it, but I couldn't really see why, because Hazard just completely skilled him. As you can see, the Berber spin to cut inside, then the roulette, and he just gets barged into from behind. And I'm not really sure why the defender can complain about that one. So penalty to Paris Saint-Germain. Eden Hazard has scored 2 from 2 so far for us. He is going to be our regular penalty taker. So he stands up against the goalkeeper, the number 16. Can he put it past him? Hazard against the goalkeeper, and Hazard sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. So he keeps his 100% record. PSG 1, Nancy 0. And this game in the Coupe de Nationale, obviously we went out of the other French Cup, which is what I gather the sort of the League Cup version in France, a couple of in-game weeks ago to St Etienne. That's our first and only loss so far to date with PSG. And as I mentioned, I wasn't really bothered, and coming into this game I wasn't bothered at all either, to be honest, because the cups aren't even listed in our objective since coming in. The only objective we have here at PSG is to win the league title, so the cups mean absolutely nothing. And I would start some first team players like Hazard, like Lloris, like Thiago Silva, but I still wasn't going to be that fussed whether we did have another shock exit. But as we did go 1-0 up, you definitely fancied our chances. However, in the 52nd minute here, Nancy come forward themselves, and as you'll see, do grab themselves an equalising goal through Alessandra. And it was a really frustrating goal as well, because as you'll see, the guy who got the assist, I had 3 defenders surrounding him, and he somehow managed to turn them all, find space, play the ball inside, and Alessandra makes it 1-1. So Nancy back on level terms just 6 minutes after the restart. And don't get me wrong, as I mentioned just a minute ago there, I'm not too fussed whether we go out of this competition or not, but even so, that is very, very poor defending. And as I've mentioned, my defending is usually quite weak. I know last year we had a superb season with West Bromwich Albion defensively, only conceded 15 league goals in the whole season, but coming into a new team, having to work out how they operate defensively is going to take a while. But even so, that was really poor, and I can only have myself to blame for that one. But regardless, in the 59th minute here, Higuain went close, his header going over the bar from a cross down the right hand side and behind for a goal kick. And in the 74th minute here, Nancy come forward themselves, looking to grab themselves a shock winning goal, just like St Etienne did to us a couple of in-game weeks ago in the other cup in France, as Lasumba gets on the ball for them and finds Grange through the centre. He picks out Volta plays it back into Grange, and the shot goes just wide the post and behind for a goal kick. So still PSG 1, Nancy 1. So as things stood, it looked as though we were going into extra time in this game at Parc des Princes, but from the goal kick we work our way up the pitch here. Ezekiel Lavezzi spreading it out wide towards our left back, whose name I will never be able to pronounce. He plays a 1-2 with Vilhena, possibly playing his last game for the club. Eventually the cross comes in, and Higuain again misses a sitter 5 yards out, basically a free header and an open goal, and he somehow puts it over the bar. Well, maybe not a free header, but still should have scored and it was still 1-1. So Higuain missing a hatful of chances in this game, including this one. The guy's got 90 finishing. How is he missing these chances? So routine it should be for him, but clearly not. But in stoppage time, with the game still at 1-1, Marquinhos goes down the right hand side, crosses the ball in, and finally Gonzalo Higuain finds the back of the net. So during this game I kept on thinking, should I bring on Ibrahimovic, should I bring on Zlatan, or should I keep faith with Higuain? I thought I'm going to keep faith. I'm sure he'll get the goal eventually. He's looking threatening, but he just can't seem to put the ball in the back of the net. I'm sure he'll score at some stage, and as you'll see, Marquinhos crossing the ball in down the right hand side, and Higuain first time left footed volley sneaks it in at the near post. That makes it PSG 2, Nancy 1. So we do grab ourselves the winning goal in stoppage time. We are through to the next round of the Coupe de National, and it was a really frustrating game because we were on top of the away side for the majority of it, but my finishing was so poor. And I did say that Higuain should have put a couple of those chances away before he did score the winning goal. Obviously, it is my fault for not being good enough, but regardless, so annoying when you have a striker like that. You feel as though any sort of good attempt with the circle button should find the back of the net, or at least hit the target, and so many of them didn't. But still, following that, we got some tournament prize money, and also saw that Aziz Taim is on his way to Bolton for a season-long loan, which I am okay with, as he's not really getting used here. And as we'll see as well, Villarreal did match the £4.7 million bid for Villeneuve, so that game against Nancy was going to be his final one for the club, because as you'll see, we come into transfer deadline day, and you'll see the email in the top left there, a player does get sold, and it is the Dutch midfielder. So he's on his way to Spain, and again, I know he can get higher than a 76. I totally understand that. He's probably got low to mid 80 potential, but for me, if he wasn't getting used and we're only going to be here for a couple of seasons regardless maximum, there's very little point in keeping him. So with that in mind, he goes, and that does mean we can also afford to sign Emerick Laporte of Athletic Bilbao. They accepted a £20 million bid the last time we came in for him, but we just couldn't afford to pay his contract after we brought in Savanier. So this time we can, because we sold Vilena, now we can afford him. So Laporte, as you can see, accepts his contract straight away, a 5-year deal, 110 grand a week. He's 24 years old, 84 overall, so I'm sure he can get to an 86, maybe even an 87 at the stretch, because he does seem like a great young centre-back, and he has joined the club, which I'm absolutely delighted about. I actually forgot to show you his stats, so apologies for that, even though you could see them in brief just a minute ago. But in the next episode, you'll see a squad report regardless, and you can take a look at his stats in depth, if you will. I mean, you can see them all there anyway, but the squad report, you can sort of just see them in one page, which is a lot easier. But still, following that, as we were in transfer deadline day, I thought maybe we'll try and sign one more player, but because we'd spent all of our money, all of the budget we had to work with since coming in, we spent all of it, the chances of getting anyone else into the club were very unlikely. So we looked at Baululi of Lyon, Morpay of Nice, I think it was, trying to sign some of these players, but also keeping in mind that we would have to do swap deals because the budget is so thin. We've got £1.26 million to work with. We'd have to swap a player out as well, so we knew that the chances of us signing one of these players was very thin, because although you can operate in swap deals, which we've done effectively this year actually, with Lloris coming in and Jan coming in, Savanier coming in, all three of those players included swap deals, Bannon, Handanovic, and I can't remember who the other player was, so there was still a chance of us, pulling one of these signings off. It was still unlikely, because I can't see the clubs letting go of these players for money which is barely anything, not even close to their valuation, and also the players being players who are either in different positions or quite frankly just wouldn't be good enough to replace those players anyway. So that's why, unsurprisingly, the clubs came back to us and basically just said that the deals are unacceptable, and unless you increase the cash sum, we're not going to let the players go, which is not a real surprise. And of course we can't do that because we've got no money left over, so there you go. But I did put in an inquiry for Kingsley Coman at Juventus. I wanted to see what Juventus would say, because as I mentioned many times before, sometimes when you inquire about a player on the loan list, the clubs will undersell them massively, and they only asked for £2.2 million, which, okay, he's only 72 overall, but at 22 years old, he's probably got low 80 potential, or possibly high 70 potential if nothing else. So I put in a bid of £1.25 million, just hoping they'd be okay with that, but unfortunately Allegri just said no. So I was like, oh, okay, fair enough, that's fine. At the end of the day, I didn't really mind anyway. I couldn't see us pulling off any more deals, but we did actually pull off another deal, just saying that. Nabil Fekir is going to join us on a pre-contract and come in next year, so That's good. As I mentioned before, we didn't really have any money to work with, so usually when that happens, I do put the money in the wage budget and look for a pre-contract player. We could only manage £49,000 in total, so our options were quite limited. But Fekir is a very decent young talent. He's now 25 years old in the game. Don't know what his overall is, but I'm sure his potential is in the high 70s minimum. So we offer him a contract. He says yes, and that means Fekir will join us next year, which I'm totally fine with. So that does indeed end transfer deadline day. It was an expensive transfer window. We spent all of our budget and then some at £65 million, but to be honest, I do feel as though the players that come in are going to help us meet our objectives, which are of course win the league title and hopefully go quite far in the Champions League as well. The top deals were Niang and Laporte from West Brom and Athletic Bilbao to us for PSG at £20 million respectively, and also Rodrigo to Napoli for £18 million. And as always guys, a big thank you for watching the video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed the episode, please leave a like, and I'll see you for episode number 150, which is a special video, very soon.